Chapter 17, Preparations and Revelations. The sun rose on Christmas Eve, casting a warm glow over the snow-covered streets of Mary Hollow. For most of the town's residents, it was a day of joyous anticipation. But for Holly, Evergreen and Jack Frost, it marked the beginning of their most crucial mission yet. They began early, gathering supplies for their counterplot against the Guardians of Yuletide. Holly's kitchen became a whirlwind of activity as she baked batches of her specially enchanted fruitcake, each slice imbued with protective magic designed to reinforce the wards around the snow globe. Meanwhile, Jack worked on crafting intricate ice crystals that would serve as magical sensors, alerting them to any disturbances in the town's magical field during the Christmas Eve ceremony. As they worked, Holly couldn't help but voice a concern that had been nagging at her. "Jack, do you really think we can pull this off on our own? We're up against some of the most powerful magical practitioners in Mary Hollow." Jack paused in his crafting, his icy blue eyes meeting Holly's worried gaze. "You're right," he said after a moment. "We could use some help. But we need to be careful about who we trust." After some discussion, they agreed on a short list of potential allies, people they believed were not involved with the Guardians and who had the skills and integrity to assist in their mission. Their first stop was the workshop of Tinker Bell Jingles, Mary Hollow's resident magical inventor. The eccentric elf was known for her brilliant, if sometimes unpredictable, creations. A secret plot to steal an ancient artifact and unleash Christmas magic on the unsuspecting world? Tinker Bell's eyes sparkled with excitement as Holly and Jack explained the situation. "Count me in. I've got just the gadgets for a clandestine operation." Next, they visited Frosty, Snowman, whose centuries of wisdom and powerful ice magic could prove invaluable. The ancient snowman listened gravely to their tale before nodding his coal-black head. "I have long feared this day might come," he rumbled. "The balance of magic in Mary Hollow has been shifting for years. You can count on my support." Their final recruit was Holly's apprentice at the bakery, a young elf named Peppermint, whose quick wit and talent for magical confectionery could be a secret weapon in their arsenal. As they swore their small band of allies to secrecy, Holly felt a glimmer of hope. They might be outnumbered, but they had assembled a formidable team. However, their next task proved to be the most emotionally challenging yet. Holly knew she had to confront Noelle, her oldest friend, about her suspected involvement with the Guardians. They found Noelle at her toy shop, putting the finishing touches on some enchanted dolls for the Christmas Eve celebration. The moment Holly saw her friend's familiar face, her heart clenched with a mixture of love and betrayal. "Noelle," Holly began, trying to keep her voice steady, "we need to talk." Noelle looked up, her usual cheerful smile faltering as she took in Holly's serious expression and Jack's presence. "What's wrong, Holly?" Taking a deep breath, Holly launched into an explanation of what they had discovered about the Guardians of Yuletide and their plans for the snow globe. As she spoke, she watched Noelle's face carefully, looking for any sign of guilt or recognition. To her surprise, Noelle's expression shifted from confusion to shock, and finally to anger. "How dare you," she burst out, her cheeks flushing. "How dare you accuse me of being part of some evil conspiracy? I've dedicated my life to bringing joy to the children of Mary Hollow." "We heard you, Noelle," Holly said, her own temper rising. "At the meeting in the old gingerbread factory. We know you're working on a counterspell to disable the wards around the snow globe." Noelle's eyes widened, and for a moment, Holly thought she saw a flicker of fear. But then her friend's face hardened. "You don't understand anything," Noelle said coldly. "What we're doing is for the greater good. The world needs Mary Hollow's magic now more than ever." "But at what cost?" Holly argued, her voice rising. "You're messing with forces you can't control. You could destroy everything we love about Mary Hollow, everything that makes Christmas special." The argument grew heated, with both friends unleashing years of pent-up frustrations and fears. Jack stood by, ready to intervene if things got out of hand, but recognizing that this confrontation was necessary. Finally, Noelle threw up her hands in exasperation. I can't talk to you when you're like this, Holly. You've always been so stuck in your ways, so afraid of change. Maybe it's time for Mary Hollow to evolve, whether you like it or not. With that, she stormed out of the shop, leaving Holly and Jack in stunned silence. As they made their way back to Holly's cottage, Jack could see the toll the confrontation had taken on her. Are you okay? He asked gently. Holly shook her head, fighting back tears. I just can't believe it. Noelle and I have been friends since we were elflings. How could she be involved in something like this? Jack placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Sometimes people we care about make choices we don't understand. But we can't let that distract us from what we need to do. Nodding, Holly squared her shoulders. You're right. We need to focus on stopping the Guardians, no matter who's involved. Back at the cottage, Jack began teaching Holly some basic defensive ice magic. It's not as powerful as your holiday magic, he explained, but it might give you an edge if things get dicey tonight. Holly concentrated, following Jack's instructions as she attempted to create a shield of ice. Her first few attempts resulted in nothing more than a light frost on her fingertips, but gradually, she began to feel the cold energy flowing through her. As the afternoon wore on, they set out to place their magical traps around the town square, where they suspected the snow globe was hidden. Tinker Bell's ingenious devices were disguised as Christmas decorations, while slices of Holly's enchanted fruitcake were strategically hidden around the great Christmas tree. It was during this process that Holly noticed something odd. Jack, she called, pointing to a series of runes carved into the base of the tree. Have you ever seen markings like these before? Jack examined the runes, his brow furrowing in concentration. These are ancient symbols of containment and amplification, he said slowly. But they've been modified. See how this line intersects here? It's almost as if someone has been gradually altering the tree's magic over time, Holly finished, a chill running down her spine. But who would have the knowledge and opportunity to do something like that? They exchanged a worried look, both coming to the same realization. Whoever had carved these runes had to have intimate knowledge of Mary Hollow's deepest magical secrets, and unrestricted access to the town's most important magical artifact. We need to rethink our suspect list, Jack said grimly. Whoever is behind this, they're not just a member of the Guardians. They might be the leader of Mary Hollow itself. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the town square, Holly and Jack found a quiet moment amidst their frantic preparations. They stood together, watching as the first stars appeared in the twilight sky. Jack, Holly said softly, I'm scared. Not just about what might happen tonight, but about what comes after. If we succeed, Mary Hollow will never be the same. And if we fail? Jack turned to her, his icy blue eyes filled with a warmth that belied his frosty nature. I know, he said, taking her hand in his. But whatever happens, we're in this together. You've shown me what true Christmas spirit really means, Holly. And that's something worth fighting for. Holly felt her heart swell with emotion. Despite the danger ahead, despite the betrayals and revelations of the past few days, she knew that her connection with Jack was real and precious. As they stood there, the first notes of a Christmas carol drifted across the square. The Christmas Eve celebrations were beginning, and with them, the countdown to the Guardians' plan. It's time, Jack said, giving Holly's hand a reassuring squeeze. Holly nodded, taking a deep breath to steady herself. Let's go save Christmas, she said, managing a smile. Hand in hand, they made their way towards the growing crowd in the town square. The air was filled with the scent of cinnamon and pine, and everywhere, the eternal Christmas lights of Mary Hollow twinkled brightly. It was a scene of perfect holiday cheer, and the backdrop for the most important battle of Holly and Jack's lives. As they took their positions, Holly couldn't help but marvel at the contrast between the festive atmosphere and the tension thrumming through her veins.